Okay, so there's a couple of things that I want to show you that you cannot do with VirtualBox in the GUI. So we have to go into the command line and actually um, do a couple of things. One is setting up a DHCP server. So I'm going to show you a little bit about that. So let's just say that I have these two servers that I want to run in a private network. So let's say I want to run my CyberOps workstation, my Kali, and my Metasploitable in a private network. Okay. Uh, Now what I have is I have the Metasploitable here in a network called INTnet. Right? It is an internal network, and it's called INTnet. Now, when I click on Tools and I look at Preferences, and I look at Network here, I see that I have a NAT network called INTnet, and I can look at its settings, and I have a network number for it, 10020/24. And it says that it supports DHCP. But when I boot up this device, it does not receive a DHCP address. And so there is nothing in VirtualBox in the GUI that will allow me to turn on a DHCP server. In general, one solution to that problem is if I would turn on DHCPD on one of my servers, right, that I'm using, like Kali, for instance. But I don't want to do that. I mean, I could do that, right? So the reason why it's not part of the GUI is because you want the option of not having it turned on and being able to utilize it at your discretion. So it's just in here in the command line. So I have this network that I've created, INTnet. It has an IP address. And I have to just make sure that my the hosts that I want in that network are actually set up to be inside of it, right? So I'm going to make sure that that on my network everybody is that I want to be there is on INTnet. And so in this case, what I will do is I will go to the command prompt, and I have to get into my folder where my VirtualBox is. So I'll show you how to do that real quick in case you don't know. Let me go back to my root. So if I am here, I go to C:\program files. I can press tab to autocomplete. I can put a backslash there. It autocompletes with tab. That's a really nice feature that used to not be there. The command is vbox manage. And so when we look at vbox manage, there's actually quite a bit of options here. I can create a basically a private cloud if I want to. And I can create a larger virtual cloud, right? Lots of things that I can do with this. But what I'm going to focus on here is the DHCP server, right? So I'm going to look at that, manage DHCP server. Just going to get that output. I can remove it, restart it, find a lease. All right, and in this case, I can modify it and I can add one. So I have to actually add a DHCP server. All right, so I'm going to use, remember, the way these commands work is this is a required option in between the greater than, less than symbol. And this means or. So I can do this or this, but not both. Then I can do this as an option. That's also an option. But it's not, it is actually a required option that I do those. These are optional options. Okay, so when I see a bracket, these are optional options. So inside the optional option, right, if I decide to use one of these options, I have some required options that I need to use, right? So we just have to go through this. We don't need all these things, right? I'm just going to add, I'm going to use the existing network name. So I'm gonna make this command VirtualBox manage DHCP server add network equals intnet, and then I have to give it a server IP, right? So I'm going to choose server IP equals 10.0.2.1. And then I have to give it a net mask. That's required option. We're going to give it a /24. Then I have to give it a lower and an upper and determine whether it's enabled or disabled. So I'm going to go ahead and give it the lower is 10.0.2.2. The upper 10.0.2.10. I don't think I'm going to need more than 10 servers on that network. There are actually 8 servers on that network. And then I want to go ahead and turn it on. Okay. Boom. There we go. There's no error messages. So we should be good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and start up my Metasploitable. Because that's the one that I had here in this. And I'll do another video which will show Kali in operation. I want to demonstrate a couple of tools. But I do want to put this on the network and make it a little private network. And I don't necessarily want to use, in this particular case, I don't want to use Security Onion to be my router. Right? So while I would normally want to do that, I just want to conserve some memory and system resources. The Security Onion is a very large VM, and so you may want to do this on your own network just to be able to practice using some of the tools. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on scaled mode, and then I'm going to make it bigger. Okay, so now I can log in. And I'm going to look really quickly at my interfaces. Oops. And I can see that I have this 10.0.2.120, right? This is a this should be a statically assigned address here, but we're going to double check it real quick. And And it is. So I'm going to go in really quickly and edit this. Yeah, there we go. We have a DHCP address, and I'm trying to get my mouse out. For whatever reason, it doesn't want to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and look and actually do the DHCP server command and find lease. And I'm going to look at network equal internal network. Okay. VBox manage. And I need to look at a MAC address. So let's go look at a MAC address real quick. Let's look at make sure we have it. MAC address equals 080002 185B. Do not know if I have to separate this out. F185 Delta Bravo. One too many. F857F 18. Oh, there we go. So that's a little bit of a, it would be nice to actually be able to see a list of these, but but actually I can see that it works. So I do not know if it will support wildcards. No, it will not. So I do have to give it the actual MAC address of the server, but I can actually run this and see that it works. And now I have a DHCP server, and so I can modify or VBox manage DHCP server, right? Let's see what I can do. I can remove it, restart it, find a lease, modify it, or add one. And lots of other options. So if I wanted to actually use this and test the ability of a VM to accept a particular DHCP option, this would be a great way to do that. Lots of other things I can do with the command. So, I wanted to show you that, and that way you could run your boxes on a private network, and I can. So if I wanted to run some exploits against the machine, I can do it in VirtualBox here with, say, a Kali VM and a Metasploitable VM or a Metasploitable 2, and I could actually have 2 or 3 or 4 small VMs running, and they would all be on the same network, and I wouldn't need to have a router there.